Hello, Mount Rudmore here, and I am back to talk about BB26. Um, so a lot has gone down the last couple days. There was an eviction, there was an HOH, there were nominees, and at the moment, the veto competition is going down. So before I get any further behind, let's talk about it. Um, it appears I do. I have a new follower. Tweet my hashtag. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So let's get down to business. First of all, my last stream, I said that the feeds were down until the live episode, but this was not the case. They were just down momentarily. It came back, and there was a little more stuff that happened. One thing in particular I wanted to talk about. It was Chemo. He had a camera talk, not talking with Cam, where he says that he's tired of living under other people's choices, and he has his whole life. He doesn't like being forced down a path and calling it an alliance. And I'm just thinking, Chemo has arrived. He's finally here to play the game. And I, for one, could not be happier. And it gave me a little bit of hope that just maybe he and T-Core would follow through on their blindside plans. As for the actual eviction episode itself, we get a Cedric DR where he says, sorry, thought I was about to sneeze. Cedric gets a diary room where he says he's feeling good if he stays on the block, like if he doesn't win the AI arena. And it's just like, you might be tempting fate a little bit here, Cedric. Don't ever feel safe when you're on the block. Dang it, I am going to sneeze. Be right back. Sorry. So we get a segment where Quinn is telling T-Core and Chemo about the Pentagon. And Quinn says that this is the group he's most loyal to. He's telling them, he's being straight up with them. However, when he shares all of this, we get a DR from T-Core where she says that she's not sure if she can trust Quinn anymore because he might just have too much going on. Not sure if he's really loyal. And Chemo has a DR where he's wondering, should we just get Cedric out now? And we get a segment showing the 5 points and how Angela wants to join them. And in the diary room, she says that she wants to know where Tucker is at all times. Like, I don't know. A lot of people like Tucker and Angela together, or Mother Tucker, as they've been called. But I feel like Angela's a little clingy when it comes to Tucker. So yeah, she wants to join them. We get that cringy segment where she's like, I can be on the bottom. And Tucker seems reluctant at first, but then he decides, sure, we can use the numbers. And they call this group the Tanks, which is 5 points minus Brooklyn. Brooklyn gets a diary room talking about how if Cedric's gonna be on the block at the end, he's gonna have a unanimous survival. It's like, come on, Brooklyn, no one likes unanimous. That's boring. Uh, it shows T-Core and Chemo talking more about it and making them look a lot more proactive than they had been because I've been talking about it a lot. They just kind of sit around and talk about doing the move, but never actually doing anything. And that's why this whole time I was not sure, is this even going to happen? And even when the feeds did go down, it wasn't 100% clear if they were going to follow through with it. Then, of course, there's the whole thing of is it even going to be Cedric versus Rabina? Because if Mackenzie doesn't win the AI arena, she's going anyway. Which I'm going to be perfectly honest, Mackenzie was just my least favorite of the three, so I wanted her to not win it so she could leave. But at the same time, I did recognize that if she did win and Cedric did leave, then the reactions would have been pretty great. So we get the AI arena. It's called Upload Download. And what they do is they have to roll balls up a ramp, and it's like a two-sided ramp, but in the middle it's flat, and it's like a little carpeted area. You got to roll the balls up there and get them to stop, and you got to stop 5 balls up there. Once you manage to stop all 5 balls on that carpet, then you can get more balls and knock them off. And the first one to get them all up there and then knock them all off is the winner. And let's just say Big Brother has never been known for its directorial skills because they really made it seem like Rabina was about to win. The camera was on her, but then at the last second it cuts away, and we just get a long shot of Mackenzie having won. And it's like, really? Not that Mackenzie won, but just like, you couldn't have. Here's the thing, they were next to each other. You couldn't have just had a camera like in between showing both of them. Like that would have worked. But no, it was a close up on Rabina and then a long shot of all three of them. And just it wasn't until I saw Mackenzie's box blinking that I'm like, oh, she won. That would have been kind of cool to see Rabina actually win something because she looks like the kind of player that goes the whole season without winning anything. But she really almost did. If she hadn't looked over at Mackenzie while she was rolling her balls to knock them off, if she hadn't done that, I really think she could have won. Because it seems like her and Mackenzie finished right around the same time, and they both had to run to the box at the same time. But Mackenzie's pretty tall, Rabina's pretty short. So Mackenzie got there faster because it took her less steps. So they get back into the house. Julie tells them Mackenzie won, and for the first time since this twist was introduced, they use the brief period between announcing and speeches to actually start pulling each other aside and start strategizing. And we don't get all the conversations, and I hope that tomorrow night's episode we get to hear some more of them in more detail, like some of the ones they weren't focused on, particularly some of the ones Picor and Chemo are having. But we uh, we see Cedric looking a little nervous, but we also see Brooklyn telling Rabina that she's leaving. But that's not the case. Cedric ends up being evicted 6-3. Even Joseph decided to join in on the flip. Join in on the flip. He looked hesitant. He seemed to be choking up, but he voted out Cedric. He didn't need to jump in. It would have been 5-4, but, he didn't want to be on the outside. But yeah, it was just Brooklyn, Chelsea, and Cam that voted to keep Cedric. And credit where it's due, Cedric accepted his exit with class. he wasn't upset about it. He just acknowledged that he gambled and lost. Although the post show interview, like the one that was just put online, the extended interview, we saw how emotional he really was about the situation, and that's when it really started to hit me. Like, you know, it was a good move, but Cedric was a good guy. I didn't think he'd be one of my favorites, but I really did like him, and it was kind of unfortunate to see him go out this way. But at the same time, he volunteered. So do not volunteer if you're watching this and you want to be on Big Brother in the future. If your dream comes true, do not volunteer. If someone tells you that they are putting you up, push back a little. It might not work, but at least you won't be laying down. Just do not volunteer. We thought Tucker was going to set this example of volunteering and having it backfire, but he's a comp beast. Cedric won one competition and got cocky, which I thought Tucker was doing, but Tucker actually earned the right to be cocky because he has been winning pretty handily. Um, Julie explains the AI instigator, and it's like, this honestly seems kind of pointless. Like, it's just, if the person we give it to does a good job, we give them money. It's like, this seems like a real waste of time. Like, I haven't even voted yet. That's how little I care. And also, I feel like Tucker's just gonna win because, I mean, it's called Instigator, and Tucker loves instigating, so this is perfect for him. And also, it turns out that the next HOH is The Wall, timeless Big Brother classic, but also a very physical competition. And I'm thinking Tucker's got this one, despite Quinn's confidence that he's got it. Uh, in the end, when they're showing feeds in the house, everyone reacting, we see Quinn saying, "I hope it's The Wall. I really hope it's The Wall." And then we see T-Core and Chemo talking, and T-Core says something about how, like, Brooklyn said if they don't vote Cedric out, they're screwed. I mean, vote Rubina out, they're screwed. But T-Core's like, we're not screwed. You are. And then it ends with them being like, we did that. And yes, they did. Took them long enough, but I would say T-Core and Chemo have established themselves as power players in this game now because they made this happen after several weeks of not letting anything happen. And just think, if they had actually followed through and told Quinn about Leah, and Leah didn't win the AI arena, like Quinn put her up and then she didn't win the AI arena, she would have left, and they wouldn't really be in as good a position. So when you think about it, them not telling Quinn the truth about Leah actually kind of resulted in them being in a better position, and Quinn being in a far worse position. Because, let's face it, with how this week went, Quinn is in the pantheon of bad Big Brother reigns. Like, we are talking Frenchie bad, Fessy bad, Devin bad, Willie bad, Riley bad, BB19 Jessica bad, Smelvis bad. His first target was Angela. She won HOH and was immune. His next target was Tucker. He didn't think to backdoor him. He just put him up. And then he won the veto. His next target was Mackenzie. She won the AI arena. His fallback was Rabina in case Mackenzie didn't win. The vote flipped, and Cedric left. Cedric, one of Quinn's closest allies, who he had at one point a final two with. Quinn wants so badly to be a regular on Rob Has a Podcast. Why would they bring him on with how he's played? Like, he'd be a punchline. Like, yes, Quinn had a remarkable streak of bad luck, but there were things he could have done so that it wouldn't have been quite as bad for him. Like, if he hadn't nominated Tucker, Cedric was the second best person in that competition. Cedric actually would have worked as a pawn if the plan was to backdoor Tucker. This is what he should have done. Okay, Angela wins HOH. That's out of his control. But he could have nominated Cedric because he volunteered, Mackenzie, and Rubina. With the plan for one of them to come down and for Tucker to go up. Cedric would probably win the veto in that case. Cedric pulls himself down. Tucker goes up. Yes, Tucker probably wins the AI arena again, but then Mackenzie goes and Quinn is like, could have been worse. But I would say the way things went for him, it actually could not have been worse. Like, I'm trying to have sympathy for him, but between his annoying mannerisms and just how bad he's playing the game, my sympathy for him is pretty much gone. So, remember how I said Brooklyn told Rabina that she was voting her out, that Rabina was going to leave? Well, Brooklyn has to go into damage control mode, which, spoiler alert, she's not very good at. Brooklyn tells Rabina she only voted her out because T-Core and Chemo said they were. Rabina's face indicates that she does not buy that for a second, because it doesn't make sense. T-Core and Chemo were the ones who put in the work to save her. They made the vote flip. And Rabina knows that. T-Core feels that Chelsea and Cam are mad at her. But the way I see it, she probably wouldn't need to be too worried about it because even if one of them were to win power, it'd be a waste to gun for T-Core. Because, like, she hasn't won anything yet. She can't really do too much. Like, you can just beat her in competitions later on. Chemo and T-Core tell Tucker about the collective by saying they were working with the people that Tucker thought were working together. And Tucker says that he trusts them, and he appreciates them telling them this. But T-Core is actually a little uncomfortable with Chemo sharing as much information as he did. So we get to the HOH comp. It is the wall. I saw something indicating it may have been called Firewall, which would fit the theme of the season. Um, as I expected, Angela, who by the way, Angela and Quinn are both able to compete. There was some there were some wires that got crossed. Quinn was thinking he couldn't play because he was secretly the HOH, but they changed their mind. He's able to play, and Angela's able to play because she really wasn't the HOH last week. So they're both playing, but Angela falls first, which didn't surprise me at all. The next to fall is Chemo. Not too surprising. He doesn't really look like the kind of body type that wins the wall. I don't mean that as a knock. I'm just saying he didn't really. It didn't really look like he'd win it. Next to fall is Joseph, but I'm thinking him falling this early, he might be throwing, and he said in the past he's throwing comps. And I think he actually said something later on because the first three to drop all became have-nots. And I feel like I saw something about Joseph saying that he he dropped just to be a have-not and not let anyone else have to deal with it. So after Joseph, so the three of them, Angela, Chemo, Joseph, they're have-nots. The next to fall is Leah, followed by Chelsea, and then T-Core, then Mackenzie, then Brooklyn, then Rabina, then Cam, which just leaves Tucker and Quinn hanging on the wall. It couldn't have been written more poetically. The two biggest rivals in the house. And my first two draft picks, don't forget, they're the last two remaining. And everyone was really excited to see how this epic battle played out. And the feeds cut away. And they don't come back until after the competition ended. The fact that they did that is honestly disgusting. Like, you promised we were gonna be able to watch this whole thing on feed. Well, you promised watch the HOH competition live on feeds. Watch the wall live on feeds. That implies you're gonna show the whole thing. And they cut away at the end. Stupid. The show is doing increasingly stupid things to make their audience mad and justify them taking more stuff away from the audience. I'm telling you, that's what they're doing. Oh, I'm going to sneeze again. Hold on. Sorry. So, feeds come back. Takes a while to even get confirmation as to who won. Eventually, it did turn out that it was Tucker. Tucker won. Not surprising, and a pretty interesting outcome. But this was a really lousy way to conclude a great night of Big Brother content. I don't understand what they were doing. They're sabotaging the show. They have to be. They have to be. That's the only explanation I can think of as to why they cut away during the wall. Like, oh, you're just gonna have to watch the conclusion on Sunday, even though you're gonna find out when the feeds come on who won. Nonsense. And apparently, Tucker offered Quinn a deal. Quinn didn't take it. And as a result of his loss and sort of realizing his position and just how his HOH went, an HOH that was given to him by an amazing power, he's just kind of sitting there with a 1,000-yard stare on. Like, it's all just hitting him now. Just how bad his game has been. When I think of how his power could have shaken up the game versus how it played out, Quinn is actually a very special Big Brother anti-talent. Joseph talks to Chemo, tells him they made the right move. Remember, Joseph was pretty emotional about voting out Cedric, but he he chose to make the the big move that was good for his game. And you know, that's sometimes you got to make tough decisions, but if you can remind yourself of why you did it, and if you really did it just for game, then I think you can live with yourself. Although people who do that kind of thing just to be petty, they live with themselves very easily because they don't care. But I like that Joseph cares. They hope that they can save Quinn this week because everyone's just sort of assuming that things aren't looking good for him. Chelsea tells Cam and Brooklyn that she thinks Quinn, Leah, and Mackenzie are going up. Cam and Brooklyn disagree. Brooklyn says if Tucker really cared about Rabina, he wouldn't have used the veto on himself. Are you serious, Brooklyn? Like, at first I thought Brooklyn was a good player, but hearing that come out of her mouth, I'm starting to realize she was just a lucky player. Joseph tells T-Core and Chemo that he's happy he did it, and he loves Cedric, but he shouldn't have volunteered. Literally what I've been saying, and what a lot of people have been saying. That's like the general consensus. Like, I like Cedric, but he shouldn't have volunteered. He says that he didn't want to be on the bottom of an alliance that he started, and it's kind of debatable as to whether or not he started the collective. I mean, Quinn named it because he had that name in mind since he was in middle school. I guess Quinn and Joseph seemed to come to Angela about it, so I guess maybe they were like the co-founders. Joseph admits that Chelsea and Cam have been handling the blind side well, but Brooklyn is not. So that is something that's going to keep coming up. Brooklyn is just, it's been said a lot, but Brooklyn can't really handle diversity. Adversity. Oh boy. I mean, she's friends with Aaron, so maybe she can't handle diversity. Oh boy, what a Freudian slip. Oh, oh boy. Oh, okay. Sorry. Moving on. Tucker is doing his one-on-ones. He tells Chelsea he needs a pawn, and she is a possibility. He says that he was a pawn for her, which he did to talk game with her, but they never did. And this just kind of speaks to how Chelsea and Brooklyn, and to a lesser extent Cam, were just feeling so comfortable they didn't feel the need to talk too much game with people, whereas a lot of people did want to talk about it, and so their their hold on the house loosened, and certain other people were able to rise to the top. Like, I've been saying Joseph has been on an upward trend for a while. Just the fact that he has a good relationship with Tucker, but Tucker is still a far bigger target in front of him. And the the eyes are kind of on Chemo and T-Core right now for flipping things. I honestly feel like Joseph has ascended to the best spot in the house, which is kind of crazy to me considering where he was in like week 2. He was barely present in the house. But yeah, I think there's a case to be made for Joseph being the strongest person in the house at this point. Anyway, Tucker tells Chelsea Quinn's going up, and he might put Quinn's dream girl, Leah, next to him. And he said before that he might do that just because it's his dream girl that doesn't give a F about him. But a lot has changed since then, and doing that might not be in his best interest. Like, even putting Quinn up might not be in his best interest. Like, it would really make the most sense to put up the 3 people who voted to keep uh, voted to keep Cedric. Brooklyn, Chelsea, Cam. But at the same time, Cam was the HOH, and Tucker knew he's in with them. So, yeah, I guess it does kind of make some sense why he's after Tucker. But at the same time, Quinn's spot in the house is diminished so much that Quinn is just, like I said, he has 1,000-yard stare on now because he knows just how bad he screwed up. Tucker tells Joseph that he wants to put up Quinn, Cam, and Brooklyn. Joseph says that Cam or Brooklyn should leave because, Quinn's basically on an island at this point, but Tucker, he's just petty. Joseph tells Tucker that Quinn told him Chelsea, Cam, Brooklyn, and Cedric, plus Quinn, were a final five. Tucker says he knew Brooklyn was a snake, and he's glad the rest of 5 Points see it now. So 5 Points is basically done because now Tucker is looking at, um, he's looking at Brooklyn some type of way. Tucker and Leah talk about not liking Cam or Quinn. He tells her that Chelsea has been talking bad about her all season. Tucker says it's all these religious people, like Chelsea and Brooklyn in particular. Julie's gonna be mad about that if anyone bothers to tell her, because we know Julie does not watch feeds. She's like just reading her Bible when she's not hosting the show. So if anyone tells Julie about that, then Tucker might not be a production favorite anymore. So they probably won't they probably won't tell her because they love Tucker. Tucker God, I can't talk today. Tucker tells Quinn that he's going up, even though he respects him, and he says he doesn't want him to go. He says that Picor and Chemo have been pushing him to work with Quinn. And he says he might do something crazy and save him with the veto if he wins it. But only if Quinn keeps this conversation a secret. Like, he doesn't want Quinn going around being like, I'm fine. And then Tucker proceeds to tell Angela about what he said to Quinn, about him keeping that secret. He also tells T-Core, Chemo, Rabina, and Joseph. So it's like he's setting Quinn up for failure. Tucker tells Mackenzie that Quinn is the target. And Mackenzie says she wants the two of them, Brooklyn and Chelsea, to work together. Really? How far behind are you, Mackenzie? Brooklyn and Chelsea are falling down the totem pole very fast. And you're still trying to start something with them and Tucker. It's like, this is why I wouldn't have been too heartbroken if Mackenzie left on Thursday. Because she's not very good at this game. And she can't catch up. Tucker gets the tanks together, which bear in mind is Tucker, Rabina, Chemo, T-Core, Angela. Tells them about Mackenzie and who she wants to work with, Brooklyn and Chelsea. Joseph ends up joining, and they decide to bring him in properly. And they become 6th Avenue. So that is the new alliance. I like this alliance except for Angela, because I still don't like Angela. But, you know. Hey, someone's got to go first, right? They talk about making Leah a number for them, but not actually bringing her in. So, like, Like, this is level 6, and Leah is JC or Sam. T-Core and Chemo talk after the meeting. They don't want Chelsea to be the renom, and they want to push Tucker into putting up Mackenzie. And it's like, you know, they finally did follow through on something, and it was very good for their game, so maybe now they'll actually feel like making a big move is good for them. So they might actually be more proactive now that they finally realize it's good to be proactive. But who knows? Tucker and Chemo talk. Tucker says that Brooklyn is fake, and he sees right through her. Chemo says he also doesn't trust Mackenzie. And Tucker confirms that there's chatter about Chemo going up as a pawn. But he says it won't happen. Joseph tells Tucker that he doesn't care if Tucker decides to go after Quinn. But Tucker admits Brooklyn is a bigger threat now. Joseph says it hurt to vote out Cedric, but he was gunning for Tucker, and Tucker's his guy at this point. So, yeah, Tucker and Joseph. This is this has real power duo potential. Like, Tucker is protected by his pomp ability, and Joseph is protected by Tucker. So, like, even if somehow Tucker loses too many competitions and gets evicted, I don't think Joseph's going to follow him out the door. I think Joseph is playing a savvy enough game that he can proceed without him. And I think Joseph probably secretly hopes that happens. Someone's able to land the shot. Because, let's face it, a Tucker Joseph final two, Tucker's winning unanimously. If Tucker makes it to the final two, with everything he's done in the game so far, he will win unanimously. Like, there's no way. People will see how he's played, see that he got to the end, and think, credit where it's due. This guy is incredible. Sorry, my hair was kind of coming up a little bit, and I just wanted to flatten it out again. Chelsea and Brooklyn are mad at T-Core, Chemo, and Joseph for the flip. And they're still not really handling losing control well. Chelsea started off handling it okay, but I think it's starting to get to her a little at this point, and Brooklyn has never been handling it well. They actually want to target Joseph before Tucker, and Brooklyn even goes as far as to call him ugly. I personally think it's ugly to judge someone on their appearance in this game. I think that's kind of bullying. Like, I told you my reasons for why I thought Angela was bullying. This is my reason for why I think Brooklyn's bullying right now. And also, not for nothing, but if we want to talk looks, um, now this is not me. This is BB Twitter. I'm just reporting. Don't shoot the messenger. But Brooklyn has acquired the nickname Hee Hee because she kind of looks like Michael Jackson, especially without makeup. Without makeup, she looks exactly like Michael Jackson. So, Brooklyn is throwing stones and she doesn't realize she's in a glass house. So the remnants of the Pentagon, they actually believe that Chemo is going to go up, and they think Quinn is the target. That one's hard to say at this point because with Tucker you never can tell. Brooklyn tells Quinn that Leah doesn't really like him. You know, that thing Chemo and T-Core thought about telling him and talked about telling him, but never actually told him. But it's actually how blunt she is about it that makes Quinn not believe her. And Quinn even goes as far as to ask T-Core and Chemo about it, and they still don't tell him. Like, this is just, like, T-Core and Chemo have gotten really good at this game, but this is still their blind spot. They just can't rat Leah out to Quinn. And I don't understand. Joseph tells Leah about the collective. Leah is actually starting to fail up at this point. Like, it's not that Leah is suddenly playing a better game, it's that a lot of people are suddenly playing a worse game than her, and people are starting to view Leah as a number instead of cannon fodder. I mean, I still think she is cannon fodder, but like early jury cannon fodder instead of pre-jury cannon fodder, especially if this is the last week before jury. We still don't know if they're going back to a 9-person jury or sticking with 7 like they did last year. Like I said before, I hope it's back to 9 people. I like that more. It's just I don't know. I my first season was BB18. It's what I'm used to. Brooklyn tells Mackenzie that she is the only honest one. First of all, that's not true. You're not honest. Second of all, you shouldn't be honest. No one has ever won Big Brother without lying. Like, you can talk all you want about playing the honest game, even if you were. It's not going to do you any favors. You're just mad that everyone's a better liar than you. That doesn't make you honest. That makes you a worse liar. Brooklyn tells Rabina she hopes she can survive another week so she can help protect Tucker again. He does not need her. And wouldn't you know it, this is a lie that Brooklyn is saying, Mr. Mrs. Oh, I didn't mean that, I swear. That was an accident. Mrs. Mrs. I'm the only honest one. She's lying about ever protecting him. He's been a target for her. And to be fair, he's been a target for just about everybody. Tucker ends up nominating Quinn, Cam, and Brooklyn, as he said he would. And my first thought was Cam's finally going to appear in an episode to do something other than vote. I mean, Cam has just been laying too low this season. Like, the first couple weeks, I let it slide because it's good to lay low the first couple weeks. A lot of winners laid low those first few weeks. But it's week 5, and Cam is still laying low. Like, now it's just starting to look like you have no actual game. Chemo starts pushing Mackenzie as the renom over Chelsea, if need be. He tries to paint her as being super loyal to Brooklyn, whereas Chelsea is just kinda there. But Tucker still thinks Brooklyn and Chelsea need to be broken up. Now, that statement right there, I think, is Quinn's best hope of survival. The fact that Quinn is alone, whereas Brooklyn is seen as part of a duo. Mackenzie is falling in more and more with Brooklyn and Chelsea. It's not doing herself any favors. Like, this is what Chemo's talking about. Trying to push Mackenzie as being too loyal to Brooklyn, and here's Mackenzie trying to become super loyal to Brooklyn. Quinn explains to Rabina he put her on the block only because, of the alliance he was in. Brooklyn believes him and wants to keep him around. And she defends Quinn to Tucker, which Joseph, T-Core, and Chemo are also doing. And everyone defending Quinn is making Tucker want him out more. So the more the rest of 6th Avenue wants Quinn to stay, the more Tucker wants him out. And let's not forget, Angela's part of 6th Avenue. She does not want Quinn to stay. She does not like him. She still thinks he betrayed her, even though she betrayed him. So it's just going to take one conversation with Angela where they just hype each other up enough, and then Tucker will just not come back from it. He's like, nope, Quinn's a target. Point blank. Angela feels like no one likes her. Yeah, pretty much. You kind of did it to yourself by consistently making yourself too much to handle. And listen, Angela's in an alliance now. She begs to be working with these people, and she is now. How do we know she's not going to turn on them too? Hmm? I mean, maybe not, because it does seem like her bond with Tucker is pretty genuine, but she does not like Rabina that much. She was trying to separate Tucker and Rabina. She said to Tucker, you should probably distance yourself from her. So, and Joseph was part of the low budget movie that she talked about in her blow up with Matt, so maybe she doesn't trust him too much still. I feel like she's okay with T-Core and Chemo, but I feel like it's them in particular that she thinks don't like her. And the truth is they're like kind of indifferent on her at best. They just think again, she's too much to deal with. Sorry. Chair's in a weird spot. It's not really moving as much on the floor as I'd like it to. Quinn tells Chemo and T-Core. Oh, I forgot to mention. Tucker comforts Angela while she's feeling down about nobody liking her. Quinn tells Chemo and T-Core that he's disappointed they flipped the vote, without telling him specifically. And they say they won't vote him out as long as he's not next to Chelsea, which is kind of an unhinged thing to say. Like to just look someone in the eye and say, "You're you're below this person in my eyes." Tucker and Rabina flirt some more because, of course, they do. Tucker wants her to come to New York City with him, meet his friends. She definitely spent at least one night in the HOH room so far, possibly two, possibly both nights so far. So this is a possibly important conversation. Brooklyn tells Cam that they and Quinn are all pawns, and Quinn told her this. You know, that thing Tucker wanted Quinn to not say? Brooklyn thinks Chemo is going to be a pawn to send one of them home. So we get veto picks. Joseph is picked yet again, but Brooklyn is not drawn this time alongside him because she's playing automatically as a nominee. It's Mackenzie who is also picked. Rabina and T-Core have still yet to play in a veto competition. And also Matt, but he never will. Joseph tells Chemo that he'll probably use the veto on Quinn if he wins. And it's looking like Quinn is going to need the veto used on him at this point. Leah tells Mackenzie she thinks there's two sides to the house, and they're not on either of them. Mackenzie says she's just staying neutral because it's too late, and honestly, she's probably right, at least for her. I mean, Leah might be able to hang on as a number for Sixth Avenue, but like I feel like Leah's looking at a seventh place finish at best. Brooklyn tells Tucker that Quinn asked her who the target is. She says that they said each other. Quinn said Brooklyn, Brooklyn said Quinn. Tucker makes her think Quinn is the target, but not sure if that's still true since Quinn is on thin ice with his mouth at this point. Mackenzie tells Brooklyn Leah told her she thinks there was an 8-person alliance that Brooklyn was in, and Joseph and T-Core betrayed it. And it's like, why are you telling Brooklyn this? You're just giving her stuff to use against you, and, like, and possibly making herself an option for a renom. Like, I don't think Tucker is all that interested in making Mackenzie the renom at this point, but if she just keeps saying stuff she shouldn't be saying, then he might settle for it. Quinn and Brooklyn have a conversation. And this conversation makes Quinn realize he should have kept his mouth shut. And this is when he's like, now I just gotta win. Joseph tells Quinn that he, T-Core, and Chemo flipped because they realized they were on the bottom. Quinn says he's not mad, but he wishes that he was told. He says T-Core and Chemo only knew they were the bottom because he told them about the Pentagon. Yeah, well, this is the problem. Quinn was honest with them, but he was honest about telling them all the lies that he's pulling. And they realized if he can lie this effortlessly, why wouldn't he lie to us? And my last note here, Quinn and Joseph talk about Leah's ex's opening line to her. Now, now, this guy was her boss or manager or whatever. And he said to her, I bet it looks like a flower. Yikes. If he said this to her and she didn't have him reported to human resources, that tells me one thing. He was incredibly fat because Leah loves her chubby chasers. Oh my god. I have so much trouble talking to women. Like it's like I can't pick up women. I can't do it. And then I hear stuff like this. This guy is saying something that if I said it, I would have gotten slapped in the face, kicked in the crotch, and had the police called on me and gotten a restraining order. I hear things that guys get away with, and I just think it's not fair. It's not fair that I could never get away with this stuff. Ay ay ay. All right. That's all my notes. I'm going to check online to see if there's a veto winner yet. Probably not, but you never can tell. No, it doesn't look like it. There's nothing on my main timeline. I'll check BB updates, but probably not. Yep. Yeah, it's not looking like we know the veto winner yet, if there even is one. Competition might just still be going. All right, that'll do it for this stream. Thank you to my newest follower. Tweet my hashtag. I appreciate it. If you're my one viewer, thanks for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at NickGrimesYT. I have links to my Twitch channel and my YouTube channel there. I post all my streams on YouTube, so you can catch up there. And you can follow me on Twitter and just get my thoughts on Big Brother stuff as it happens. But yes, that will do it for this stream. I will see you next time. Peace out.